It seems like, according to the comments coming out of those meetings, that the stadium went so well that the Carolina Panthers owners has basically ready to proclaim the Rams aren't going anywhere.
You know, McGraw, I got to be honest. I think it's a hold instead of a win. I think things are. I think NFL's taking a step back and saying, let's make sure we do all this right. I think they may have one eye. I mean, I don't want to be a negative Nelly here, but I think they may have one eye on potential legal battles, right? They don't want to get into some problem where a city sues them because they didn't go through their correct guidelines. I think everybody's taking a step back and saying, let's make sure that that every home market, it is really either viable or not viable, that we know that answer, and that before we move anybody out of it.
Yeah. Do we know, because the Jefferson City keeps making rumblings that they're going to sue and put a fork in all of this, or a spoke in the wheel. Did that come up in the conversations with the task force and the NFL owners?
It didn't. So even when I ask about it, it's very much seen as a non-factor, and I don't totally understand why. I mean, I guess I recognize that it's an after-the-fact issue, like stadium will already be built if that happens, but I don't really get why, or will be being built.
Right.
But I don't know if I understand why somebody's not worried about that.
Yeah. It seems like, I guess they're all thinking that this is going to pass the Board of Aldermen.
You know what I think? Yeah, they do think that, and I do too, frankly, McGraw, because I think the board has some real concerns, and I think I've talked to several board members, and I think they're valid concerns, a lot of them at least. But I think that they will. I think some of the board members will win some concessions, quote unquote concessions, from the office of Mayor Francis Slay, and I think it'll get through. I think the hardest part's going to be out of committee. The committee is going to be more challenging than the board as a whole. The board as a whole, I mean, you've got a lot of guys who are union supporters. You've got a lot of guys who are development guys. I think it'll get through the big board fine.
Yeah. All right. So what happens now? Is this task force done? Is their job complete?
Oh, I think that's a great question, McGraw. I've never asked Dave Peacock or Bob Blitz or the governor or anybody, like, what are you guys doing after this?
Right.
And I think that's such a fascinating question. Like, and I was thinking about it a bunch last night. Peacock is in New York City here, all day yesterday, presenting to the owners. He came out late. I mean, I'm sure his day was as long as mine or longer. Then this morning, I'm still here in New York. He's back in St. Louis presenting to the Board of Aldermen in what, an hour, 2 hours?
Right.
So these guys, I think, must be running on fumes at some point, and I just can't help but wonder when they're. So I'm kind of answering your question. I'm kind of not. I just wonder, are they going to keep this up? For how much longer can they keep this pace up?
Right. All right. So we hear that according to them, it was the greatest presentation in the history of all stadium presentations.
By the way, McGraw, they all said that. I talked to every single group coming out. They all said, we killed it.
And we find out that Mickey Mouse is involved in the stadium deal for the Chargers?
Right. Mr. Iger was tapped. What was that? Yesterday morning. Now they announced it.
Right.
I got to say that actually is a big deal. So he's, we poo-poo a lot of stuff, I think, but this one's a sticker. He's the CEO of Disney. He's got star power, in the financial world. He's also got star power in Los Angeles. He knows them. I mean, who knows the market? Who knows the LA market better than Disney?
Right.
It's a big deal for Carson to land him. They may have been lacking something before, and I think they were trying to fill that hole. Also, and I hesitate to even bring this up, but I'm going to. I have heard unconfirmed reports that he could buy into a team after this.
Oh.
And if that's the case, that could really shore up, especially the Raiders, who I think could use a little cash.
We're also hearing that, and it's interesting that this story bubbles up on the same day, all this other stuff, but that the FAA is a little worried about Stan Kroenke's stadium and the airspace.
Yeah, I know. I love that. This stuff all comes out at the same time, right? So the FAA does one of these reports every time. This is a preliminary report. It does look like Kroenke's going to run into some problems. Basically, his stadium is too tall, too shiny, and too close to the runways.
Too shiny.
Well, the Edward Jones doesn't have that problem. It's definitely not too shiny.
Not too shiny, huh? Yeah. So they're talking about like radar dampening plates or coverings to put over some of the shiny parts. And the issue, I guess, is that the radar might bounce off that shiny surface and create like fake planes in the air.
Right.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, because we know it's not touchdown passes in the air. I'm sorry. Okay, so now Stan Kroenke wasn't there, but Kevin Demoff was. Did you?
No.
Oh.
No, Mr. Kroenke was there himself for the first time ever. Actually sat in on this session.
Oh, that's some breaking news.
That would have.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you try and chase him down and get a comment?
You know what? He snuck in, both snuck in and snuck out. So I know he was there. We actually saw him at the last minute going in, but nobody caught him, and then I didn't see him at all going out.
Yeah. You have the one quote from the Carolina Panthers owner who clearly is not on Stan Kroenke's team.
Right.
Any more insight into the vote and the pettiness that's going on between the 30 NFL owners?
You know, I really do think that they're split right now. I mean, I think there's a lot of owners who feel like Jerry does. I mean, that's what, you know, when we talk to owners, sometimes they won't say exactly how they feel, but you get a feeling, you know what I mean?
Right.
And there are a lot who really worry about these home markets. And I want to be honest, McGraw, I don't want to pretend like, I mean, I think they're honest. I think they say that stuff, and they really worry about the home markets. I mean, it is long-term very bad for the NFL if they just start plucking teams out of small cities and moving them to big cities.
Right.
And that would not go well for them down the road, and they know that, and I think they also have some nostalgia for all those teams.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine pulling Green Bay out of Green Bay?
Right.
Wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
Even though Minnesota threatened to go to Los Angeles, can you imagine the Vikings in Los Angeles? That's crazy.
Well, but a lot of people can picture the Rams in Los Angeles because they were there at one point.
Right. Rams might be a little different story.
Could you imagine the Rams in Los Angeles? Yeah, as a matter of fact, I could. All right, David Hunn, great job as always. We'll read you on stltoday.com. Get home safe, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, McGraw.
You
Bye,
got
Kelly.
it. 7:23 here, Big 550 KTRS. You know what's real